The Story of the Rich Man and the Broken Heart, an educational tale by Sheikh Sadi. In the ancient city of Shiraz, known for its wisdom, gardens, and poets, lived Sheikh Sadi, a revered sage whose words held the power to change hearts and minds. One day, as the sun dipped low, casting golden hues across the city, Sheikh Sadi gathered his students in the courtyard of a mosque. It was a tradition for him to share stories that were not just meant to entertain but to educate. On this particular evening, the sage shared a tale that would remain etched in the minds of his students forever. Once, Sadi began, his voice soft yet firm, there lived a rich and powerful merchant in a prosperous city. This merchant was known throughout the land for his immense wealth. He owned palaces, caravans of precious goods, and lands as far as the eye could see. Despite all his riches, however, the man was deeply unhappy. His wealth had isolated him, and his arrogance had made him blind to the suffering of others. He believed that those who were poor simply lacked the ambition or intelligence to improve their lives, and he felt no sympathy for them. The students leaned in closer, eager to hear the lesson that would unfold from the sage's tale. One day, Sadi continued, the merchant, while traveling through a busy street in the market, came across a beggar sitting by the road. The beggar was frail, his clothes torn and dirty, and his eyes hollow with hunger. He held out a trembling hand to the merchant, hoping for a coin or a morsel of food. But the merchant, looking down on the man with disdain, simply said, "Why do you not work like others? I became rich through hard work. Why should I share what I have earned with someone like you?" With that, the merchant walked away, his heart untouched by the beggar's plight. Sadi paused, allowing the weight of the merchant's harshness to sink in. His students could feel the tension building in the tale. That night, Sadi went on, the merchant went to sleep in his grand palace, surrounded by luxury. But his sleep was troubled. In his dreams, he found himself in a barren land. The ground was cracked and dry, the sky a deep, unrelenting grey. No sign of life could be seen anywhere. As he wandered through this desolate place, he grew tired and thirsty. Just when he thought he could walk no further, he came across a well. Eagerly, he ran toward it and leaned over the edge. But when he looked down, there was no water, only a reflection of himself. A voice echoed from the depths of the well, "You seek water, but your heart is empty. How can you quench your thirst when you have no compassion for those who thirst around you?" The students exchanged glances, sensing the moral of the story beginning to reveal itself. When the merchant awoke, Sadi said, he was deeply disturbed by the dream. He could not shake the feeling that there was a deeper meaning behind it. His wealth had always been his comfort, but now it felt like a burden. The next day, as he walked through the streets of the city once more, he saw the beggar again. This time, something in his heart shifted. Instead of looking away, he approached the man and knelt down beside him. He placed a hand on the beggar's shoulder and asked, "How can I help you, brother?" The beggar looked up, surprised by the merchant's sudden kindness, and said, "A little food would ease my hunger, but what I truly need is to feel that I am not forgotten." Sadi smiled gently as he saw his students' faces soften, understanding dawning on them. The merchant, having realized the truth of his dream, began to change his ways. He no longer measured people by their wealth or status but by the goodness in their hearts. He used his riches to help those in need, building shelters for the homeless, providing food for the hungry, and offering opportunities for the less fortunate. In doing so, he found a peace that no amount of gold could have ever brought him. His heart, once closed off, became a well of compassion from which others could draw strength. Sadi's voice softened as he reached the conclusion of his story. Wealth, my dear students, is not measured in gold, but in kindness, love, and the good we do for others. A heart that holds on to greed is like a dry well. No matter how much you have, you will never be satisfied. But a heart filled with compassion flows like a river, nourishing all who come near. As the students reflected on the story, they realized that Sheikh Sadi's words held a timeless truth. The story was not just about a rich merchant and a beggar, it was about all of them, about the choices they would make in their lives and how they would treat those less fortunate. From that day forward, the students carried the wisdom of the story in their hearts, knowing that true wealth is found in generosity and that a compassionate heart is more valuable than any treasure. And thus, Sheikh Sadi's tale, like many others, became a guiding light for those seeking not just knowledge, but the wisdom to live a righteous and fulfilling life. Moral of the story: compassion and kindness are the greatest forms of wealth. True fulfillment comes from helping others, not in the accumulation of material possessions.